on Mr. Omarjee's opinion.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Omarjee, for your opinion report. On behalf of the Socialist and Democrat Group, I would first of all say that we agree with the central thrust of the opinion that cohesion policy is the most important and successful tool at improving the position of the least developed and poorest regions within the Union, and by doing so provides benefit in improved trade and commerce for the whole of the Union. But it's also the case that cohesion policy is and always will be a work in progress. If it is to continue to work in the interests of the whole of the Union, then it must be seen to serve the interests of the whole of the Union. Cohesion policy may focus on the poorest regions, but spend that serves those regions and the outermost regions may not necessarily be located solely within those regions, particularly in the context of infrastructure and connectivity. It's also worth noting that while we are rightly concerned about inequality between regions, the disparities of income and wealth in some of the more developed regions, in fact the most developed regions, have been growing through the period since the 2008 crash. This negative trend has been a clear contributor to disengagement and the leanings towards populist political forces. Being poor in an expensive region is a very tough business indeed. If this union is to be seen to serve the whole of its citizenry in all regions, it will fail to deliver for the poorest regions. On the specifics of budgeting, effective planning and absorption, it's worth noting that it's worth pointing out that 7 years is not actually long in the life cycle of key infrastructure projects. My colleagues know that I favour a shift, as does the Regional Development Committee, in the MFF cycle to a 5+5 year basis, but that in itself would not be a panacea in this instance. Careful consideration of how certainty can be brought to the planning of such investment across MFF cycles is an observation that, in my view, merits further debate well beyond the life of this opinion. Finally, I would add that the nature of cohesion investment will need to change in the future if it is to remain effective. The needs of greening, connectivity and digitisation alongside skills, investment and soft measures will become increasingly important and will provide an opportunity to more effectively align cohesion policy investment with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Howarth. And the Chair kindly thanks the interpreters for staying with us.
Mr. President.